Hello, my name is Dr. Sami Fortune Winton, and I'm the Ancient and Historic Jewellery Specialist here at Apollo Art Auctions. Today, I've got some pieces which have been highlighted for their uniqueness, their splendour, their beauty, their exquisite craftsmanship, and they can be found in the Ancient Art and Antiquities sale and the Indian and Islamic art sale that are both happening this month in April 2025. This is lot 56, a magnificent diamond and enamel decorated Mughal ring. Something like this is quite unusual. It was made probably in the 18th century or the early 19th century. It's decorated with 7 very interestingly glowing diamonds. These diamonds, sometimes people might see them as pulpy diamonds, but these are actually faceted diamonds, probably a form of rose cut. And they've been beautifully set in what's called a kundan setting. So they've got a gold foil setting at the back. A technique which was very popular during this time, even in Europe and across the Western as well as the Eastern Islamic worlds. The diamonds are quite interesting. They may have indeed come from India themselves, most likely from India as a diamond producing nation, and possibly might have come from the Golconda mines famous in Hyderabad. The ring itself has got this beautiful green enamel with floral motifs around it. Green is a very interesting color. Islamically, it's quite symbolic. The Mughals were an Islamic dynasty, and green is often associated as the color of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it's associated with the religion of Islam and the sort of symbolism of paradise. It's got these wonderful floral motifs there all the way around. This ring was probably made in Delhi or Lucknow. It's been made by craftsmen of quite significant skill, using lots of different techniques that were popular at the Mughal court during this period. It's a wonderful ring and has this very, very unusual glow that comes from the stones, probably because of that kundan setting. A glow that's very reminiscent of the diamond in its rougher kind of form. A wonderful ring, as you can see here on my hand. It's quite an eye-catching piece, and it's definitely something you should look out for in the upcoming auction. This is lot 245. It's a Merovingian gold and garnet brooch. Something like this is truly a special piece and only occasionally comes up in auctions. It's set with garnets and has beautiful gold work in different techniques. It has filigree and it has a beaten gold back as well. And also it's got this beautiful little decoration that goes all the way around the edge. I don't know if you can see it, but probably on the close-up you will. The Merovingians were the main power in sort of Central and Western Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire. And this dates from a high point in that empire, from around the 6th to the mid-7th century. The garnets indicate the trade links that the Merovingians had, and these garnets may have come from as far as Turkey or even beyond to be set in fine gold jewellery. Techniques from the ancient world have also been reused, including this filigree that you can find right at the bottom of the brooch that goes all the way around. Filigree are very, very fine balls of gold that are laid in order to create a pattern or a decoration, and is reminiscent of some of the pieces we have discovered in England that were being manufactured around the same time, such as the fantastic discoveries at Sutton Hoo. This brooch could be worn and used again with a small modern addition of a modern pin, and would be a wonderful addition to anybody's ancient jewellery collection. Also quite a stunning and attractive piece to be worn on a special day or night. This is lot 741. It's quite a sizable high carat gold Roman bracelet dating from around the 3rd century AD. It's got this beautiful Herculean knot in it, which in Roman times was symbolic of love, marriage, endurance, and the bringing of two things together. The wire itself has been meticulously pulled. So in the ancient world, one of the only ways to make gold wire was to pull it through increasingly smaller and smaller holes to get an exact form of wire. And if we look closely at the bracelet, we can still see some of the stress that the wire endured when it was being pulled through, which is quite fascinating. This is a purely handmade object, requiring quite a lot of skill to maintain the same width and consistency all the way through. The knot itself has no joins on it, so it's been made in such a way that there's no beginning and there's no end, which again may be something that was quite symbolic during the time period. But it's a fabulous piece, sizable, grabs your attention, and has this wonderful ancient symbolism to it. So something definitely to look out for, and if you can come into Apollo auctions, it's something you could definitely try on. This is lot 49. It's a very interesting, quite large Mughal archer's thumb ring. It's been beautifully decorated and dates from around the end of the 17th to the 18th century AD. It's got this wonderful hunting scene that's quite relevant, as this probably was used by a noble, possibly a prince in a royal hunt. And it's set with this. It's got this fantastic leopard that's jumping onto the back of a deer, hunting a deer. This motif dates back, thousands of years. I mean, you see it in Greek, Persian, even Umayyad floor mosaics of the 8th century. And again, it's used in this wonderful thumb ring to illustrate the enjoyment of the chase, of the hunt, with beautiful gold floral motifs all the way around to provide quite an interesting background. Thumb ring's quite an interesting piece of sort of military equipment. Both could be used for war and for the hunt, although because of the beauty and decoration of this piece, it was probably more of sort of a pastime piece rather than something intended to be used in combat. But the jury's out on that. The thumb ring is used primarily to take the pressure off a very high-powered bow. Because this one is so big and so thick, I imagine that the power of the bow was pretty strong. I mean, we're probably looking at over 100 pounds of pull for a piece like this, an extremely powerful bow. Something that could certainly penetrate armor, but also take down quite a large beast at a long distance. The thumb ring, it's normally worn like this, so it would take the pressure off the string. And if you imagine a bow and the string and my little finger's the string, it would sort of push against that. The archer would close his thumb, close the forefinger on top of it. When he's ready to release, open it up and the string will go flying with the arrow. So yeah, thumb rings have been around a very long time. They're there to protect the hand. But in this case, they're there to protect the hand and have a very beautiful, lovely scene, which has been made by a high degree of craftsmanship as well. This is lot 307. It's a wonderful Byzantine cross, likely from the 7th century AD, set with pearls and emerald and these fantastic glass panels that you can see. Crosses were extremely popular during the Byzantine period. Of course, the Roman Empire had become Christian under the reign of Constantine the Great in the 4th century. And these kind of crosses would have been worn by both men and women. There are various styles and forms. Sometimes, as the Byzantine Empire went on, they became much more ornate and filled with filigree and various other motifs. But this one is really, really quite lovely. It's probably set with its original emerald. As far as I can see today, with me briefly looking at it, it appears to be its original emerald. And it's been carved in this, what we call cabochon. So it's got this it's the earliest form of gemstone polishing in the ancient world. And it's just been polished into this very nice domed shape, give it a little bit of luster and form. Many sources in the ancient world for different types of precious gemstones, but some of the most famous emeralds used to come from Egypt. And because of links and control by the Byzantines, it may be, especially if this cabochon is indeed original, that this is an Egyptian emerald set into this wonderful cross. The pearls also appear to be original. They're probably freshwater river kind of pearls that you do get a lot in ancient jewelry. And it's amazing that they've seemed to have survived intact. Mustn't get anything even remotely acidic near pearls, otherwise they dissolve, being calcium carbonate. And there is a famous story once of Cleopatra holding a very large pearl over some wine as a threat and as a way to show how much wealth she could have, that she could just drop it in and it would all dissolve away. If we turn the cross over, you can see lots of different techniques the ancient goldsmith used. So we've got this fantastic beaten gold back panels where they've set the glass in at the front, and this tiny decoration has these filigree balls, again, the filigree being very small gold balls that are laid into a sort of pattern or form of a type of decoration on the piece, and they pop up a little bit everywhere and create some kind of uniformity, but very, very high degree of skill. Imagine a goldsmith 2,000 years ago making these tiny, tiny gold balls, and the extra amount of skill required without machinery to make sure these balls are the same size and that they're positioned in the right place and that they're formed around the borders to make this pretty edge. You've got somebody who's been working on the pearls, drilling them by hand, probably with a bow drill, and then wiring them so they fit on each of the little panels here. So it might not seem like it to us today, being used to all these mechanized forms of craftsmanship, but if you imagine somebody 1,500 years ago making a piece like this in quite an incredible amount of time and skill, it's not just about these very valuable and rare materials that were around, but it's the time, the technique in making it, and the result is absolutely gorgeous. This is lot 634. It's been very, very meticulously carved by an engraver who is extremely skilled. And if you look at it very closely, we can see all the very interesting details on the satire, including his hairy goat legs and hoof, the horns on his head, and even the style and the manner of playing of the trumpet. And if you go really close up, you can see the curls of his beard, his wonderful nose, and his very small lips pressed as they're playing this trumpet. So it's almost as if the ring itself, the engraving is being played, or you can just imagine the music. Engravers at this particular time were incredibly skilled. We're not quite sure exactly how they managed to engrave something so fine without modern tools and equipment, but it's the latest research has thought that ancient engravers in Greece and Rome may have been naturally myopic, which means that they can see things very close up without the aid of a lens. Some others think that they might have possibly have used some form of crystal or maybe bent glass, but the current thinking is the myopic one. This wonderful ring may have been worn on the little finger like a lot of signet rings today, and although it is over 2,000 years old, it would certainly fit on a modern finger and be a very, very interesting piece. And the last very fun thing about this ring is, because of the style of its engraving, you can also use it to seal letters, possibly that very interesting, fun upcoming party that you could seal the back of your envelopes with and have a 3D satire playing a wonderful trumpet, harking what's going to happen later.